All right, welcome back. Today we have an exciting guest. It is Joosep, founder of Askell AI. Thank you for being here. So let's just start with a quick background. So what is Askell and what inspired you to create them?
So, Ask AI, we started that about 1.5 years ago, and our initial mission was to automate spreadsheet-based processes, and we actually succeeded to some extent with those. But we quite quickly learned that this is going to be a consultancy business, and we always wanted to actually build a product. Therefore, we decided to stay more on the product side. And what initially made me go that route was very specifically that I had seen in my previous life multiple times when teams had like 30, 60 people doing spreadsheet based processes, and there was no good way to automate it because a lot of that data is still either structured, semi-structured, or oftentimes totally unstructured in those spreadsheets. And when you have those project trackers, and then you have the comment field there, and the comment field actually is the most important field where you actually find out what state of the project actually is, because oftentimes it can show you green, but then it's like, oh, three teams haven't aligned on the roadmap yet, and you're like, okay, this is not a green thing anymore. Like a GoPro. So that was the initial idea, but quickly we actually ended up currently building tool registry.ai because we found that one of the problems when we initially built Haskell AI was that how can you do tool calling with AI agents on a massive scale across a very high number of different cloud applications, internal applications, and do it in a way where you can chain them together into effective workflows. And that's what tool registry.ai is building now. So, and we've been really good at automating those customer specific integrations across different AI and SaaS applications or cloud products in general. Uh, and we're seeing that because we can automate when your customer has very specifically set up their own, let's say, CRM like Salesforce, then we can automate that with high accuracy actually still and discover their specific schemas and do that work for you. Sorry. Yeah. And yeah.
Awesome. So then being the founder, can you share a little bit about your role and how you fit into the bigger picture?
So how I go about being a founder? Founder means that you do everything. You're the cheerleader of the team to the moment where you have to do the admin tasks of the team. You do the most basically everything that needs to be done from sales to engineering to I don't know, ordering the new coffee beans to the office if needed. So that's everything. And how do I go about aligning the team is, I think how I think about it is actually how we've done it at least is we've defined this kind of to get the alignment. It always starts with ruthless clarity. Everyone knows what we're doing, and with the current product, as we are pre-product market fit, it means that it's always telling, hey, we are validating this one goal that we have, that we can validate that we have a market fit. We do have some customers, but it's too early to say that if we actually have a PMF validation now or not. So that's where we are with it. So in that sense, that's kind of my alignment thing is setting that one main goal, working from there. But as a founder, you end up actually doing everything in that sense. Yeah. Motivation is a big piece that you have to do with the team because I think there's this moment that I've seen where we sometimes something goes bad. Some product idea that we had today, the new technologies like large language models or general AI or RAG or something can't be worked out yet. Then you need to still pick up the team and help them get along, get going again. And so it's in that sense that's a lot of it as well is getting that motivation going. And at the same time, as a founder, you have to celebrate small wins. If a customer starts using you, like everything that is very, how to say nice, this is everything that happens that is good, you want to celebrate it. It's, hey, we have a first repeat customer. That's big. We got the first step. You need to celebrate that. Celebration doesn't mean that you need to go and drink it. It can be something very simple. You take the team out for breakfast, dinner, things like that, or you do
Yeah.
fun. activity together. So in that sense, I think that's very important. But at the same time, you want to keep also this culture of urgency going. So I think finding this culture of urgency without burnout is very important that you do that, because that's you don't want to burn out your team, definitely, because it's not a, how to say, and how to do that, I go about it is that we try to do things in a small cycles, like 1 to 2 week cycles, and then move to the next thing and work on that. I think that helps.
Yeah, I think that's very interesting, and it actually was perfect because it transitioned nicely into the next part of this, where I like to talk about the leadership roles a little bit. So it's great. We know how you keep your team motivated, celebrate those small wins, however it is, keep the team morale up. So how do you approach goal setting and growth planning?
It's always fun with, like, if you're pre product market fit. I think it different. I think a growth planning in general, if you're looking especially like how do you get new customers, because I think uh, team growth comes if you get new customers, you add new team members. Then you don't do it just by adding team members for the sake of it. And the other side of it is that growth planning is also how do you get those new customers. So, and what is the goal kind of there? So for us today, it's in our phase, this is very much, can we validate that customers desperately want what we are building, actually, and are they willing to pay for it? So there's we can come up with all of those fancy things like fancy roadmaps, international expansion, and GTM and other cool words. But for us, this is all noise at the moment. So we're not planning for growth yet. We're validating whether growth is even possible, if that makes sense.
Okay,
Yeah.
that does make sense.
Yeah. And then from that main goal, we actually translate into hard metrics, things like revenue, willingness to pay, referenceability, and things like that. Are they actually are do those things actually happen? Do users come back without us changing them? That's like engagement. Like if you have to constantly chase them, then there's questions about your product market fit, I would say. And I think the ultimate goal is willingness to pay. If people are willing to part from their money, that's what you want to achieve. Yeah. And how easily do they do that? And then you get to your OKRs that you build backwards. Then you get to
Yes.
know like how many design partners you have, how many of them say they'd be very disappointed if your product suddenly disappears. I think it's called, I can't remember what it is. It's Sean Daly's test or something like that. Yeah. And then you get like what percentage converts to paid or commit budget, things like that.
Yeah. I think that's well said. You seem very methodical with how you go about everything, make sure everything's kind of
I,
perfect.
I wish I would be that methodical day to day, because as a founder,
Yeah.
you get distracted by everything else.
Hmm.
And there's so much always going on. You're wearing 73 hats on an average day.
Yep.
You're in the morning, as I said, you're ordering coffee beans. That's just top of mind that I need to do tomorrow. It was on my to-do list when we started this call. So, and then next moment you're talking about product. Then you're talking about sales. I'm lucky in that sense that I don't have to get involved that much on engineering side, because my engineering team is like awesome. So that's kudos to Tim and Chris on that, that I don't have to be so much involved on that side. So that definitely makes it easier, but still product. I know the engineers come to the product side as well, and so that's a good discussion to have. But then you go to different customer meetings, you hear different things. You need to bring that to the back to the engineers, then talking to the investors. That's all takes a lot of in that sense. I can't say that I'm that methodical, but I try to be at least.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Um, so right now, are you guys more focused on acquiring new clients, or are you focused on retaining the business you have or growing existing accounts? Like, what's your kind of headspace at right now for the company?
Our headspace currently is that we want to acquire additional pilot customers, because when you have some, Then you want some additional ones that you can actually validate that, hey, this is a repeatable problem. And you're seeing these very specific niches already bringing up there with, especially with our product like tenant-aware mapping, where we do this tenant-aware customer-specific schema mapping. That's where we see very specific things happening. And they're like, hey, we need more customers who use ERP and CRM together. And
Yeah,
like,
like get a bigger
so
sample size to see how
yeah,
everything's working, what works, what doesn't.
yeah, I
Yeah,
think that's very well said. Increase the
yeah,
sample space is, I think, the correct way to go about it. Yeah.
yeah. I think that's great. So now we're gonna transition a little bit into a little more of the business insights. So my first question here is, what do you think your company does very well, and who would be an ideal client for you guys?
Hmm. I would say, I think what we're doing it really well is automating these customer specific integrations and the use cases around those, where you have a very specific, let's say each of your customer wants to bring their own CRM or ERP that they have their own defined logic in there and fields. This is what we do really well. We understand that logic with AI quite fast, and then we can generate repeatable runs that are very accurate on doing the same thing again and again, so that you actually don't have to build out bespoke customer integrations. And our how to say, our ICP or ideal customer profile has been these companies. So any cloud application, AI or SaaS that have those customers. They often tend to be those customers more bigger ones because we've seen that with SMB your customer will go with defaults. In HubSpot, everyone will use defaults then when they're an SMB. But if you talk to anyone who has HubSpot customers who are enterprise and they say, no, no, it's all custom fields, nobody uses the defaults anymore. So that's kind of interesting for us to see actually. So we're targeting those, or not, we're talking to those companies that whose customers are bigger ones. Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And
And then,
And profile is more like CROs, head of implementation engineering, or CTO.
yeah, so with this industry that you're in, what are some of the major shifts that you're seeing?
I think what we're seeing is that a lot of this implementation engineering that was usually done by tools like Zapier or merge.dev and things like that that helped you do this. I think those are all shifting more to be AI powered now, where they will actually generate workflows that you can rerun multiple times. And we're seeing that shift happening a lot. So, and I think where this is going to be leading us is that there's going to be much I don't want to say less implementation engineers and forward deployed engineers. It's going to be more about those engineers. How do they do their work and how effective they are in their work? And I think they will be more starting to focus on upselling. There is going to be definitely some people who are going to get laid off, but I think one engineer can do much better. And I've seen this happen in other industries where those people end up doing sales who used to do some very tedious tasks before, day in, day out.
Yeah, that makes okay, perfect. Um, so what do you think has been one of the biggest challenges as far as scaling or growing?
I think for us, the biggest challenge has been so far has been, I think there's two things. How do you explain something new where everyone is used to those earlier versions of something like the in our world, it's very much this workflow builders by Zapier and the likes, or N8N or Com3. And yeah. So, how do you explain that this is the past and this is what the future looks like now so that people get it? And that oftentimes is the difficult part. And I would say the other part for us on that is dealing with people who want to build everything themselves. this is always like the build versus buy is always a topic.
Yeah. Okay. So as far as I know, we talked about increasing the sample size. How do you currently find and convert your leads?
So how I find my leads is I actually use an AI product called Ample Market, which is it's amplemarket.com. I will recommend, because I think their LinkedIn sequence generator is really good. So what I love about it is that it gives you automatically, it follows certain signals that you can set up. And for each signal, you can set up your own custom sequence. Within the AI, you explain on day one, do this, day two, do this, day three, do this. So, and I just review my signals from time to time. How are they performing? And it's really doing well. The downside of that product is that I think it's all we tried also instantly, and I think that email conversion rate is getting really low. Like with Ample Market, I know that I get a connection requests about like 45 to 50% accepted when I send them to signals. So this is quite good, I would say. But with email, you're seeing less than 1% response rate anyway.
Yeah.
If you go, so in that sense, this is much like a more efficient way of doing things.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's mainly through LinkedIn then, right?
Yeah, mainly through LinkedIn and people who are acting on certain signals, because their conversion rate is significantly higher because you know that they're already interested. For us, one thing that we watch out is that if somebody is hiring an implementation engineer, that usually means that they have something where that implementation engineer is setting something up manually within their product, and that's already a good. So this is more on the lead generation side. I wouldn't say that we use anything on the closing side so much, where we convert them to our
Hmm.
users, or still, because at our phase, it's every customer demo is, even if it doesn't end well, it's a good thing for us because this is another data point on the product feedback. So, and this is what you
Yeah.
want, is product market fit phase. You want that those data points to be a lot of those. You want them to be as much. And then the third one is warm intros. I'm using a lot where I'm asking other people who connect with me to actually in the end give me a couple of people who I can connect to.
Yeah. That's perfect. That's LinkedIn I've heard is pretty good with meeting with people, talking business. Like obviously that's what it's for, but then you can figure out what roles they have and everything like that. So make sure you're always talking to the right guy. Um, so then getting towards the end here, so I just want to ask you a few more questions and then we'll get a little bit to our closing questions. So what would be one system or tool that you could not live without in your business?
I would say ample market definitely is one. Email in general is good as well. Uh, as a team, I think Slack, oh, Cursor is so good. It's not about vibe coding, but it can help you a lot with things. Um, for me, when I need to sometimes say uh, give a give to the team what my product idea is. Sometimes it's easier for me to show it in Cursor and quickly build a React application than go and start designing it in Figma, because it's we're talking about. But yeah, I would say ample market on sales side, Cursor on engineering side, and uh, in all Go and AI note taker. These are great. I had a person I had an in-person meeting the other day, and I think it took the AI note takers have made me, in that sense, kind of comfortable that I didn't take notes in that in-person meeting, and I came out of it and I was like, oh, I need to quickly now take notes because there's no AI note taker in that meeting.
Do you use like Fathom or Fireflies? Which one do you use for that?
I'm using Fireflies currently.
Fireflies.
I'm quite happy with their responses. I've seen that Otter has really good summaries as well. Uh, I would love to see. I think where this is going to end up is that Google and these are going to be the general tools, and then you're going to have very specific, industry specific AI assistants for those calls that take notes and update your systems and so on. I think this is where it's going to go to.
Yeah, awesome. So, and then now I just want to get into my, so it's basically my last two wrap up questions that I ask pretty much everybody. So if I could give you like, this one's a little strange. If I could give you a magic wand to improve one part of your business, or whatever you think would be the most beneficial to not have to worry about because it's always perfect, what would that be?
You would say it would be, hmm, if it's about business, then I would say lead generation would be, if that's always perfect. If it's about me, then my closing abilities, deal closing abilities, two
Yeah,
things.
yeah,
Yeah.
awesome. And then last question to wrap this up. What are your goals or your vision for the next 6 to 12 months?
I think in the next few months, our vision is to get the product market fit going rightly. And then our vision for the product itself is that it can, in the next 12 months, it can scale with high number of customers, high number of automations on it. And that's our vision in that sense. What we see is that uh, there doesn't need to be people in teams who write customer or customer integration specific glue code anymore. Like there is no need for that hard wiring anymore. That's our vision. And I think in 6 months' time, it should be very common that this is how it goes. Because if you're still maintaining that customer specific glue code, then there needs to be a very good reason why you keep doing that. Because we are already in that where we see that there is not much need for that. I think that's our vision for like 12 months, that this is where we should be.
Awesome. Perfect. Well, before we wrap this up, Joseph, where can people find you? Where can they find your business? Just feel free to let them know whatever you want to know.
Yeah. If you guys are automating customer specific integration, building glue code for that, find us at toolregistry.ai, and happy to talk to you. You can book a time through there with me or somebody from our team, and happy to have that chat. And thank you, Arian, for inviting me. This has been great.
Yeah. Awesome. I appreciate you taking the time out of the day, and I think this was very good. I loved having you on. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.